Progress.
Thoughts on what the governor is calling for at his news conference yesterday? First of all, once audits on acquittal rates and what's causing delays in some of these courts, it could be backing things up at the jail.
Yep. Did you ask?
What are your thoughts?
Did I lose you? Oh, I think I lost you.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on his comments and his call for these audits to try and get a better handle on some of the delays in the criminal justice system and the backlogs that's creating at the jail, please?
I can only look from my perspective. And my perspective is that I run a digital jail that currently houses upwards of 400 Orleans Parish inmates. Some of these, almost all of these, are pre-trial. And the reason why I say how it relates to me is I can kind of put two stories together. We have the story of Antoine Massey, who is one of these escapees, and then the story of another person that actually escaped, tried to escape. We stopped him. And then he made his way into the courtroom where the judge threw the case out, and it was the most ridiculous reason. And you know, the story is real simple. We realize the gentleman is putting tinfoil on his device to defeat it. We investigate it. We catch him with video and photographic evidence showing that he's putting tinfoil on it. He openly admits it. He speaks fluent Spanish. He is undocumented. Our agent that captures him speaks fluent Spanish. They discuss the whole matter. We take him into custody. We put him in jail. We apply the charge of tampering with an electronic monitoring device. And the New Orleans judge throws the case out, stating she don't believe he understood that you were not allowed to do that. It was the most ridiculous reasoning. I just don't understand why we have to go against the current. Criminal justice is supposed to be about justice, not about politics or opinions or feelings. But we literally set a person free who was 100% guilty for no good reason. There was no logical reason. It was a judge trial. And it's on our Facebook page from a year or so ago. And you can clearly see the pictures of the man with his tinfoil on his ankle monitor. And I bring that up because Antoine Massey escaped from a jail. Morehouse Parish was captured in Texas years ago. We believe we know he escaped from a juvenile detention center as well. Then he escapes from an ankle monitor program. And then for whatever reason, the Orleans Parish criminal justice system orders him to an ankle monitor program again, which is ours, and he goes into our program. And within 2 hours, he cuts that device off. 2 hours. He gets out of jail. He had no intention of wearing an ankle monitor. He didn't go home. He didn't spend a day. 2 hours. And he cut it off. And we had him in jail pretty quickly. We went and got him. We put him back in jail. And, you know, there's an escape charge there. There's a tampering charge there. Where are they? Why is he not in jail on those charges in Orleans Parish? If you have a man who you know has escaped from 2 brick and mortar jails and 2 ankle monitor programs, he just escaped again. And what did we do to stop him? You know, that's the purpose of these charges. For me to be able to file the charge 14:000, which is a simple escape, 14-110. And then 14-110.2 is tampering with an electronic monitoring device. Those charges are there for a reason. And we have to make sure that our judges, first of all, that the police accept that charge. We had to change that in the law last year. Representative Muscarella put in a bill that made it to where we could apply the charge of simple escape because the original law said law enforcement only. By changing that last session, it made it to where we can apply the simple escape. By doing that, it's a felony. We also were able to change where we file this charge. You used to have to, if they escaped from Orleans, let's say they were ordered by Orleans Parish, and they escaped in Jefferson, they cut it off in Jefferson, we had to apply the escape charge in Jefferson. Jefferson doesn't know anything about the Orleans case that got him on a monitor, but now they're trying a case for escaping a monitor. That didn't make sense. So with Joe Marullo and Representative Muscarella, we'll put a bill together to change that said if they escape from Orleans while in Jefferson, on an ankle monitor, I can file the charge in Orleans where the original charge was. That was very important. We took all that time and effort to fix the laws just to have judges throw out the case. And again, we have an escaped guy who just escaped from me last year. We just put it in the 2023, I'm sorry, late 2023. And then he's not facing that charge of escape. He's not facing the charge of tampering with an electronic monitoring device. Why do you think they'll keep doing it?
Man, how much more effective do you think your program is in terms of keeping track of these criminals than the jail, especially after what we saw last Friday?
Well, look, the number one question that gets asked to me when people cut off the device is, well, what do you think about all those people cutting off devices? We've had 3 people cut their devices off in the entirety of this year. We're in May. I haven't had 11 in one day ever, or 10. That's a brick and mortar jail, though. We're not. Her job as sheriff is to keep them inside of those 4 walls, and then to make them behave inside of those 4 walls. I don't have 4 walls. I have to make mine behave in the real world. So if I don't have her level to take my people to, or if I don't have judges that support what we're doing, then my level won't work. And you need to understand, we have 400 people in our jail, and you're astonished that they keep this level of risk on the first floor of that jail. I have this level of risk running around the community on ankle monitor because they don't have room on any floor of that jail. So we have to make sure that all of the pieces are working together properly. The minute these escapes happened, the New Orleans, the state level, and New Orleans, NOPD, and state police, and U.S. Marshals went instantly into our offender management system and identified the individuals in there that had previously worn ankle monitors. They also instantly requested that data be provided to them. We provide it to them in a way that they can search. We don't give them what they want, what we want them to see, or what they want to see. We give them all of it, and they filter through it. We've trained them how to look at all of it. So they began using that data immediately, and they used that data to assist them. Even though in the case of the escapee previously, that data was over a year old, it's still very pertinent data. There's a lot of information there. So, the sheriff is going to have to review what she did inside that jail and how that happened. Just like I have to review every single time somebody escapes my program. Sometimes that means I got to fix something internally. Sometimes I got to change the law. But it always starts with making sure the public knows what's going on quickly, which is why a million times, Rob, why do you put these escapes out on Facebook when you don't have to? And it's because I think it's important that I do. I need the immediate response that the media provides when I have someone escape from my program, even though it might make my program look bad. The truth is, I have to go catch these people, and I need everybody's help. So,
about public safety and your responsibility as well, right?
Look, the last escape, we had 3 in one day last month, which is very unusual. That just doesn't happen. But hey, it happened, and every media outlet, Fox, all of them said, what do you say? What do you say to this? I mean, is that kind of dangerous? And listen, that's what ankle monitor. That's how you escape an ankle monitor. You cut them off. That's what ankle monitors do. I'm just glad that we've established a process in our city where this isn't part of the problem. We are where you go for answers and solutions. These people are in our program. They cut it off. We go after them. Not only do we go after them, but we have a very good relationship with all of the actors, NOPD, the sheriff's office, all of them. So I wish the sheriff the best. I want everybody to catch these people. I hope nothing else happens. But we do need to look at what the governor said is true in my case, because I was appalled by the fact that judge threw out that case. Unfortunately, it's truly silly politics that did it, too. I believe in truth in sentencing and criminal justice and all of that. So tossing those charges on a man that we provided true evidence that he tampered with his device was crazy. It didn't help anybody, including the guy.
What other tools do you have at your disposal? Do you think investigators have at their disposal right now as they try and track down these 7 individuals?
What other tools? We've come to
how do you proceed?
How do we proceed? Look, the ones that were in our program in the past, they've had that data from day one. I hope it helps them. I know in some cases it probably has. So, as for the rest of it, there's very serious questions to ask. You know, I know that my guy, the one that I personally dealt with that escaped my program, if I had brick and mortar jail cells, I'd have put him in the top of the building. I'd have put him so far away from the ability to escape again that you would have never seen his name on TV. And it wouldn't be because I could see the future. I could simply see the past. There isn't an ounce of this man's history that doesn't say escape. This is escape, escape. He is not the one on there for murder and all that. He's the one that's wanted currently for a rape out of St. Tammany. So he's running, guys. This guy was a walking billboard for how do you properly maintain your inmate capacity. And with all due respect to everybody involved, I love the city of New Orleans, but we can't keep doing this to ourselves and then wondering why it happens. I mean, there was a lot of very poor decisions made as to how these people were kept inside that jail. And at this point, I think the only person we can ask for an opinion is Gussman. He's the only person that truly knows the inside of that jail and can tell us the truth. And there's no excuse for this. This is unbelievable.
By poor decision, you mean like dangerous criminals being lumped in with regular people, poorly watched? What sort of feedback were you getting on conditions in the jail, Matt?
I have to run a digital jail. I have to run a jail that uses all of these different things when we start doing. A lot of it has to do with victim protection. So I need to know when to call an offender, when to go send someone to the house. I need to know if it's a real tamper, if it might be mechanical in the device. There's a lot of things that I have to know. I would assume to run a brick and mortar jail, there's a lot of things you have to know. I can only assume, with the experience I have with my own person that escaped me, I would have never put him on the first floor. I would have never put him in a cell where there's no deputies watching him. I would have never put him in a place where there's no human being that's not another inmate watching him. If you're going to go to lunch, I would have someone replace you. But why would how can you put these people alone on an entire pod? I just don't understand any of this. And I don't profess to know how to run a brick and mortar jail. But I know that level of thinking would not work in my virtual jail, because I would never get away with making excuses as to why people escaped and I didn't tell anybody, or people escaped and I didn't know. I mean, in my jail, I know the minute they escape. I know the second they escape. And I know what I have to start doing at that moment. And then I went so far last year as to pass a law that said, if I don't do this, put me in jail. And I put a clock on it. I have to report within 24 hours of any of this type of stuff. And they say 24 hours. And you have to understand, I got to prove it really is an escape. I can't just walk to a jail cell and see a hole in the wall. I got to drive to a device and see where it might be in a lake. I got to figure this out and make sure it is an escape, because a lot of times it could be a device. So I have to actually rule out an escape.
What do we know about this fraudulent ankle monitor scheme, and how certain are you that there's involvement from somebody inside the jail?
Okay, I don't know how much of this you could use. You can use whatever you want, but as an individual who spent 32 years working with getting people in and out of that jail in different ways, I'm very, very efficient at getting the information on a person in a jail. But number one, we don't call you. We don't call and say, hey, your loved one's in jail. Would you like to put him on an ankle monitor? That's not how it works. So it goes through a process. You got to go to the judge. The judge will set your order, and then that order, your lawyer will say, hey, have your family call. So you're in a 1 or 2 day process to really even get to the point of getting an ankle monitor. But that's not the point. The point is that within an hour or so of individuals being arrested and going into the Orleans Parish Jail, phone numbers people are being called. And they're not just second cousins, brothers. This is mom. This is the person to call. So they're getting access to the person's number. Somebody is able to, within an hour or two of arriving at the jail, know who to call to tell that family member a scam that says, come pay me a whole bunch of money so your loved one can get out. They're preying on the family who is very upset over their loved one being in jail. And they are absolutely pulling this off. And it looks like it's happening a lot. And we don't really know the answer. We need really for the Orleans Parish Sheriff's Department to tell us, what's going on inside the jail over there, because they are more aware of the rest of these victims. And we are taking whatever victims we find and we're sending them over to the DA's office and to NOPD as quickly as we can to file complaints, because this is a very sophisticated scam, very simple, but it's sophisticated in the fact that there's three things. Very quickly, they know who's in jail. Very quickly, they know who to call. And the one thing that's really got me, because I could do those first two things myself. But the last thing, I can't figure out your medical condition, and they know the medical condition of these people. So something's wrong. It's clear that there's more to this. This is not just some people from some other country. This is clearly something that's going on inside that jail because of the level of information that they have access to. So in the days before this escape, I've been calling for on our Facebook posts. I'm asking the AG's office to please look at this. And why do I care? Because in Orleans Parish, they're using my program's name. And I want to make sure that people understand how they can properly ensure they're not being scammed. Because we need to make sure we keep our digital jail running, because our brick and mortar jail is in a shambles and it's completely overrun. I mean, it's completely overcrowded. So we're not going to be able to add more people to that jail. And we certainly can't undermine the success of the digital jail. And the answers, I unfortunately believe, are inside that jail. And I'm hoping we can get to those. But I believe, I mean, I don't want to sound wrong. I really do like Sheriff Hudson. And I don't want to judge Sheriff Hudson in any way. But I do believe that the AG needs to look at what's going on with this scam. We now know it's happening in more than one parish. And it appears that these offenders that are moving up to other parishes are connected to Orleans. So it looks like the problem may very well be in Orleans. And I'm hoping it's not. I hope it's just bright people in some other country and we can end it. But we need people to look at it.
Matt, the governor alluded to problems with acquittals and consistent delays in the system. Does that impact your operation?
Yeah. Well, again, like I said, the acquittals, the judge trials, my one example, I mean, we have more, but the one that really glares at me was the one that always really just ate at me, because I know why she did it. I know exactly why she did it. And to me, that's just not how justice works. The digital jail works. It works well. I didn't ask for this. I actually suggested that they don't do this. And when they tore the jails down, I understood what we needed to do to fix it. And we provided something that works. I mean, think about it. Where else in the country do you find a digital jail with this capacity doing this well to protect the community? So, I mean,
How much more capacity do you have, and do you think you can help alleviate the crowding issue?
Oh, I have unlimited capacity. The capacity is not a problem for me. We can listen. The virtual jail is limitless. And I know you can't use that. So I want to make sure you understand. It's not only limitless, it's cost free. It doesn't cost your community a penny. It puts the responsibility back on the person that's in jail. Why should you have to pay for this guy? Let this guy pay for his own. What we're focusing our attention on right now is two bills. Senate Bill 95, which is Senator Cloud, and then House Bill 244, which is Kerner, Representative Kerner. And Senate Bill 95 fixes this judge problem we have, where judges ignore violation reports. It also fixes the sheriff's departments in many ways, where our bill, House Bill 244, regulates the provider and forces him to get licensed. It's insane that we have people going into jails that have no background checks, that nobody knows who they are. They have no license. There's no law that tells them what to do. They could just show up with ankle monitors. We believe they should be licensed. Just like the bail industry, who goes to the jail and receives somebody, has to be licensed. The ankle monitor industry should have to go to the jail and get somebody and be licensed to do that for one reason and one reason only. You don't know who the heck is watching people. Currently, the state police do not have a way to know who is watching somebody. And House Bill 244 fixes that. It makes that law. It forces everybody to release a list, a live list, so everybody knows who's on ankle monitor, who's watching them, who ordered it, and are they following the rules? And if they're not following the rules, what is the judge doing about it? And with all that information, you can use these two bills to hold the judges accountable, hold the providers accountable, and hold the offenders accountable. So, I mean,
Matt, we'll leave it at that, man. Thank you, buddy. I
right.
appreciate it on this sad anniversary, buddy. Take care. We're thinking
Thank you.
about you.
bye-bye.
All right. We'll see you.